may affect their career, so.
There's a breakdown as far as non-coms comparatively to officers. Is there a breakdown in numbers, or is it just combined together?
Yeah, there is a breakdown. I did, at the conference that we did with the Veterans Task Force, I showed a breakdown of officers and all the ranking structures. And most of the percentage lied with the lower ranking individuals, very few officers.
Now, is that because there's a cause of being non-com could be less a factor as far as affecting my military career comparably to an officer being involved and definitely affecting his career and his life as far as that is concerned, being he wants to stay in the military. We can grasp the fact that correct me if I'm wrong, that the officers themselves may not just want to let it go, frankly.
Yeah, and a lot of that too is stigma. It is. It's
Right.
If the fact is the military may see it as we're responsible as officers for younger or those people in lower ranks, and whether you're a detachment commander or company or battalion, you're responsible for those people. So if they see that there's a lot of issues going on where mentally may not be able to handle it, that may affect the career. They may not choose you for commands. And although that's not proven, it's just one of those things that they base the command and the upward movement, especially in the National Guard, on subjective decisions. And so, whereas the other services that may not go that way as much, National Guard is greatly subjective according to who thinks you're doing a better job. And so they won't report, and that's why when we picked up this new program, trying to track some of these ideations and attempts, that I don't think that we'll see a lot of officers really coming forward. Because I say that because getting involved with the PDHRA, the post-health assessments, that every officer that went in there filling out 2900s, squeaky clean, just filling out no problems whatsoever.
And
So,
do you believe that?
no.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so it happens, and even with the higher ranking NCOs, you have the same thing happen. So we know that those will be very hard to track and understand. The completed ones, of course, that's kind of hard to hide that. But it's lower, I think, too, because of the family structure and just those different tenets, which in the Veterans Task Force, the nonprofit, you switch it to 6 tenets. And that's the physical, the psychological, the emotional, the social, and then family and spiritual aspects. On the military side, they tend to say, well, if it's spiritual, chaplains. That's a separate thing. But again, with that habit of separating everything, I mean, when somebody is like this, it's all interconnected. When somebody has ideation, it's usually compounding issues that are happening. And if they're coming home from overseas deployment, if they have PTSD or TBI, then it can just compound that. And and it may accelerate or amplify the PTSD, just trying to relate to all the stress that's happening with relationship issues, with financial issues. They may have lost a job or not have a job, and so on. So all those are interconnected. And the difference between National Guard and the full-time force, the installations have what we call MTF. It's a military treatment facility. But they also have different agencies on post that help not only the service member, but the families. Free of charge. They're on post, they use those services.
That's not the National Guard, but the regular
Yeah.
full-time service.
Active duty.
Active, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
full active duty, but.
Yeah. Whereas National Guard doesn't have that. Now, we have the Veterans Administration Hospital, but, I mean, that's way in Battle Creek, Detroit,
Ann
Ann Arbor. Long ways
And the way
away.
we've seen it, Larry and I have seen it, it's, they don't talk to each other.
No. A lot of times.
It's like this.
Oh.
Yeah.
We've seen
But I mean, it sounds like what you're saying though, even within your own
Yeah.
units, you each have your own little turf.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times it does happen, fortunately. And the stuff that does come up, our systems tends to amplify it because we want to do the right thing. But at the same time, there's this central management that they want to, well, this is a good learning tool, so we have to make sure that all the commanders know. And it kind of goes from
Kind of,
there.
yeah,
And-
but-
You're not alone there, Dave, you're really not. I know the NFL, I was just told the other day, the NFL is sitting, they had Dr. David Satcher, who was doing the closed head injury and trying to work to prevent concussions and that with football players. And then this came out about the scandal in Louisiana where the coach had a hit squad lined
Oh,
up.
yeah.
They were putting up bounty to take out the other
Oh,
team's
yeah.
quarterbacks and stuff like that. I mean, literally take them out of the game permanently, if not, at least for the future of the season. And then that hit, and then so the NFL's kind of shut down that whole thing that Dr. Satcher was trying to do with them, so.
Yeah, and they come back with injuries, and it's a readjustment back home. Overseas, they have this battle mind focus. If it isn't adjusted, if they don't have the capability to readjust, then that creates a lot of the PTSD or the symptoms of it, and a lot of adjustment issues. So that's the key, and that's what they're hoping to really curb some of these issues through the resiliency program. However, if somebody's already there with an injury or suffering from depression, a lot of those coping skills, it doesn't really matter. It's that continuous pain because it's an injury. You may not see it, but
It's there.
yeah, it's there. And so it's trying to deal with that and trying to deal with the things at home that we're finding that's a lot of the issue.
I must say this, as an ex-military, you know, Larry and I think Larry will agree with me that you guys are trying to get a hold of this, I don't know what to call it, but trying to get some involvement into it and trying to scratch the surface of this whole thing, where I don't think at our time it was even thought of or dealt with, you know, as far as that goes. We can go all the way back to the Revolutionary War as far as, you know, our soldiers being involved here. What was done then? You know, they all went home to their families, the same situation that's happening today, and they've been in a war atmosphere for the 2, 3 years or 4 years that they fought for the Revolutionary War. As far as the World War I, World War II, Korea, we have a lot of experience. Unfortunately, we're just now with what gets us, I think, Larry and I, is they're just dealing with it now. I mean, we have men that come back. We've had women come back from military, and a lot of the women are affected by the same thing. We talk about the men, but the women themselves are affected by going back to their families. They're single parents, or they may be parents that, or single, you know, in their own status as far as that's concerned. I commend the Army finally to try to do something about it, but it's like a needle in a haystack.
I think Don has really hit on a point. I mean, the theater of war, had you been there, you would have seen that they take it way back to the Greek wars and stuff like that. We haven't really evolved. We've done a great job with our physical injuries from Vietnam and World War II, where most of the soldiers were, with those traumatic injuries were dead before they even got back to the battle.
They never made it off the battlefield.
Never made it off the battlefield. And now we've dealt with the